We've discussed this before. It would not have solved all the issues, but the summer that they had, there is absolutely no doubt what Man United did in the summer from the end of May, so they had basically the whole of June, July and best part of August before the season started to make an early decision, a decision that we all knew was inevitable, was to fire Erik ten Hag, a man who clearly wasn't cutting it. He did win the FA Cup, blah, blah, blah. That's a very short-term view. But not only did they keep him, they went out and splurged a couple of $100 million on players, more players. And I feel like I'm repeating myself, but on more players that this new manager now has to try and get out. These mistakes they're just systemic of the bad management, Stevie, at this club.
Amorim's paying the price for that, isn't he? Amorim's the man that's paying the price for that, for those poor decisions. And he was forced to come in at probably the worst time for any coach to come into any team, never mind Manchester United, with what's expected of Manchester United. So Amorim right now is paying for those mistakes. I would, however, say that I'm beginning to change. I was behind Amorim in the way that he was playing. You know, try to teach them, this is how I play, this is how I want to play. But he has to start thinking a little bit about himself now, because he's getting into the stage of it's getting embarrassing and people are questioning his ability as a coach. I think he has to change the way they play and do whatever you got to do to get results.
But to what end?
He won't.
To get some sort of respectability.
Mark made the point, you've got a squad full of players that know they're at the end. They know that Amorim doesn't want them. They know they're going to try to find an exit.
You've got to find a way, Dan. When you're the coach,
with who? With what?
But you have to find a way. You have to find a way. And if it means you change the shape and you put them in a different shape and you make teams go all the way outside them, you don't come through the middle of us, you've got to do whatever you've got to do to get results. Because now it's getting embarrassing. Every time we come on air to talk about United, we are just throwing mud at them because they're so bad. And at the end of the day, Amorim's the coach and he has to get results. And you have to do what you've got to do to get them. It's one thing to be in a position where you can look to the future and you can try and build a culture of this is how we play and this is how I play. But it's now at the stage where it's about, it doesn't matter how you play, it's about getting results.
You look at Man City, though, they're having a bad time.
Stevie,
they're going out, sorry, okay, they're going out and play, they're spending money in January, they're probably going to spend again. Oggy touched on it before the game. United's financial scenario with all the profit and sustainability, amongst other things, they don't have that ability to go out and spend unless they sell a bunch of players. Now, Amorim's talking about the future and how they're going to restructure in the summer. Bruno Fernandes apart, who's going to buy, unless they're selling them for a song, who's going to buy any of these United players? Who's going to turn up and say, I'll give you 40 million for him, 60 million for him, 70 million for him? It's not. It's like, we'll take him for free, we'll take him on a loan, we'll pay his wages for 6 months or a year, we'll give you 10 million. They're not going to be able to generate the cash from player sales to be able to go and restructure this squad and buy the calibre player that they need. So I really don't see how he's going to solve that anytime soon.
Gogden and Hercules Gomez. Mark, I thought something that really summed up this game and maybe the season overall was the growing frustration that we saw from the Manchester United fans in the second half. Just that complete and utter lack of urgency in an FA Cup tie at Old Trafford, where there didn't seem to be anyone who wanted to step up and fight for this team.
Well, apart from Bruno Fernandes, and he's the only one that seems to come to rescue Man United these days. He is their one good player, and beyond that, I think I said it at half-time, that the fans, you can sense, you can feel their lack of belief in some of these players. They know what they're watching, that the players aren't good enough. And I think, when the young lad Obi came on in the second half, he at least livened things up a little bit. But, listen, it's really hard to find positives from this. You're right, they are still in the Europa League, and I think Craig's being a bit optimistic by suggesting they're one of the favourites, but the name makes them a favourite. But all truth being told, they have to win that competition to get in the Champions League, which sounds ridiculous, but there are so many reasons, financially, status, commercially, why United need to be in the Champions League next season. But let's be honest, to put all their eggs in the basket of the Europa League and be up against teams that they'll probably beat them, it's grim, isn't it? It's very grim.
Well, I'm only going with what the bookies were saying, Oggy, that believe it or not, Man United and Tottenham, two teams that have struggled are one of the favourites to win it. But I know you mentioned the players there, but is there any doubt thus far? Now, it might be the old adage, no pain, no gain, right? So you have to take the pain for the gain. I think there's a big doubt about that. But I don't think there's any doubt, Augie, that Ruben Amorim has actually taken this team that was a pretty average team and he's taken them to new lows. He's made them worse.
He has made